Previously on Fortnite Follies, the V2 saga.
I'm going to give it my best effort to win. Thanks to a recent update, I won't get overwhelmed like V1D1 did when Task Force Romeo was trying to recruit Jackie. Ever since we succeeded despite all the hiccups, Jester reorganized the task force into the 1st Racing Division. The main change was in the chain of command, with leadership transferring to V2C1. Mistake earlier. I need to run this track as perfectly as possible from here on. Pump shotgun elimination that I made when I was first deployed. I'm similar to a human drill sergeant, though instead of teaching them maneuvers and weapons, I'm ordering them to show me how they do it so that I can judge whether they are functional or defective.
Passing Iron Tide and Charter last. Now entering the home stretch tunnel for the final time this race. I'm still maintaining first place, but Covered Clown and Forbidden are hot on my trail. It's going to be close. Extremely close. I've placed first. This has been the 2nd race in a row. 1 to go, regardless of anything else. I got a lot of missions done. Now to check how much our ranking shot up. We almost made it to Silver 3. The win is mine to savor, being my 3rd in a row. And there it is, the mother of all comebacks. My 3rd win in a row, and what an underdog victory it was. That has to give me Silver 3. It has to. I saw how much it went up before. Come on, get on up there. Yes, yes, yes. There it is. Silver 3, at long last. We're now on the doorstep of gold rank.
Of this season, we appear to be committing to another large racing operation. I'm curious as to what reward we're aiming for this time, but it's not my place to question Jester's decision. It's my place to race and make sure that whatever reward it is, he obtains it as soon as possible. After my big back and forth with my previous opponents, I'm ready for anything this lot can dish out. Wait, is this literally the same track twice in a row? What are the odds? So, this group includes Judge Fudge, Just a Bit Epic, Mega Yeet, and Thanis, out of the races I can presently identify. I have also completed a few missions, and received another few in their place. The missions were to get a start line boost of at least 50% in 5 races, and to earn 500 total start line boost percentage in races. These also completed the missions to complete Week 1 quests, and complete Week 1 quests to unlock the Week 2 quests. And travel 50,000 total distance while turboing in the air. Apparently, the mission to draft 10,000 total distance is an incomplete mission. Most of us were lucky to be able to worry about getting those strikes, as 2 of us, including myself, malfunctioned long before then. I only got 1 strike before being put out of commission for the rest of the operation. I think V1D1 had a similar record, with things coming to a head in her final race, putting both her and Dora out of commission as well. Following that is a ramp that leads to a huge jump, a right-hand turn, and a house-shaped tunnel. Then I'd have to analyze the later sections of track with that level of attention to record them to the database. And that I, also, forgot to mention. Preceding and across from the mountain, there are also tents. I'm trying to memorize as many features of this track as possible so as to not only get a plan in place for placing at least above bottom 3, but also to help out the rest of the Jester engineering models should they come across this track. I demolish. I didn't lose very many places. There's the final log tunnel. It's all coming down to the home stretch.
Alright, I'm going to be testing each of the droids since their update and see how well they hold up. Okay. Oh boy, okay. Take you down. Alright. Got you.
Preparing for the next race. It appears that this track's name is Skull Rock Isle. If I were human, I'd say that sounds scary. Regardless, I'll be taking this track seriously. I just got a 59% boost. Now going down and back up the dip, through the checkpoint in the process. There's a right-hand turn. We'll soon see if it's a standard turn, or a U-turn. It appeared to be a U-turn. Logging to database. After taking the 2nd dip, another left-hand turn in progress. After this turn, I go straight but a second or 2 before turning back right. I have detected what looks like the first ramp. That was indeed ramp 1, leading onto the track below, straight through a checkpoint surrounded by lava. I also got progress on the mission to drift or fly total distance. Ramp 2 leads into Tunnel 1. Logging both to database. After exiting Tunnel 1, it appears that I will once again be turning left. After a long left-hand turn, I have just sighted Tunnel 2. I entered the second tunnel so quickly that my car spun around the edges. This burned off some speed, allowing my opponents to pass me back up. That almost looks like a hairpin turn up ahead. Unless that happens to be alternative path 2. And it just so happened to be alternative path 2. Logging the final data of this track to the database. Now it's time to execute a strategy based on what I've learned. Boosting now. This time, my greatest rivals seem to be Cyborg Melon and Flying Fender. However, I never seem to place much lower than top 3. Still, I'll keep a sensor vigilant for those two, as they appear to be fierce competitors. Another racer I should be vigilant for is Matt, as they seem to be pulling ahead themselves. That's Ramp 2 and Tunnel 1 up ahead. I believe, at this point, we'd be halfway through the course. Either way, it won't be too much further to the finish line, and thus the last lap. I'm currently in 3rd place. The way I drift around so much, you'd think I'd gotten the total distance drifted or flown mission done, but the distance is so great that it's managing to hold on tight. I mean, seriously, the end goal is 75,000 meters. That's not a small amount of distance. What is a small amount of distance is that to the finish line for the 2nd lap. Last lap, 1st place. Progress on finish laps in top 4 in races detected, logging to database. Just rounded the U-turn, and heading onwards to the huge S-bend. Entering the huge S-bend now. I crashed into the wall, allowing 3 to pass me back up, including Aim Like Idaho and Flying Fender. Hello again, ample blind spot. Are you going to present yourself as a fierce rival too? Well, in any case, let the best racer win. Anyway, Ramp 2 and Tunnel 1 have just been sighted. Even if this isn't exactly the halfway point on the track, I consider it the halfway point. I have almost made it through Tunnel 1, dropping to 6th place prior to traversing the tunnel. Now rounding the left-hand turn through a lava-filled tunnel. Due to my turbo, I had got up to 4th place. Now I'm near alternative path 2. I'm holding fast to 2nd place. Well, I just shot up to 1st place, despite pesky infant seemingly being in front of me. Am I lapping them? Nope, but at the very least, I pulled out a win. How was that, V3H1? Good enough? Am I understanding correctly that this is our final race for now? Roger that, preparing myself. Final track identified, Tri-City. Haven't some destroyers and V3H1 raced on this already? Anyway, taking the right-hand turn to Tunnel 1. Yes, a droid was describing the tunnel of many routes earlier, recommending the left wall as the optimal path. Launching off of the left ramp onto the track ahead, through the checkpoint, and try to hit the boost pad. Attempt failed, moving on. Now the Valley of 5 paths is next. The paths are as follows: the top and bottom of the suspended road ahead make up 2 paths, the dirt path at the bottom is the 3rd. Finally, the roads on either wall make routes 4 and 5. In order to only take paths 1 or 2, I would recommend throttling the flight systems until you make it either on the top or bottom of the suspended road. Now we're on to the home stretch drop-off. This is the best opportunity to fly, which, coincidentally, I have to do. Although, I didn't really throttle them that much. The drifting will really carry this mission, so I'm not that worried about the mission. More than anything, my main mission is to hit boost pads. Taking the left road in the tunnel of many roads. Following the left road to the launch ramp. Once I launch off of the ramp, I need to try to hit the boost pads ahead. Missed boost pad 1 left this time, boost pad 2 hit instead. Now returning to the Valley of 5 paths. Instead of taking path 3, I'll take paths 4 and 1 this time. Now nearing the home stretch drop-off. Just take this winding road of boost pads to the drop-off. The green version of drift or fly total distance was completed. Now I just have to get done with the orange version. I can see the drop-off right now. All I need to do now is glide down to the finish line for the 2nd time. Throttling the thrusters on the way down. Thrusters throttled to 21%. Last lap, 1st place. Doing really well on this final race. The mission to hit boost pads was completed. Approaching the tunnel of many roads. Taking the left-hand road onto the ramp onto the future section of track. Or maybe not. I've just dropped off of the ramp. I don't guess I actually have to worry about the ramp anymore, since the boost pad mission is done, and I'm in first place right now. I have been pretty good at boosting back into first place in previous races. It's not too out of the question to expect to do so again. Now I'm on the roads of final choices, which all lead to the home stretch drop-off. Running the central road. You'd need to time a flight and air dodge to get over to the left road like I did in the first lap. The right one, however, I haven't attempted to map out. Regardless, I've just reached the home stretch drop-off, and gliding down to the finish line for the last time. And there we have it. First place in the final race. How was that, V3H1? That good enough of a finale?
Deploying for Castle Doom. It's been a while since my deployment, so I may be rusty in some tasks. However, I will do the best I can otherwise. Deploying the Sentinel, making final approach to Castle Doom. So, you said my mission was to deal damage to opponents here? That should be easy enough, especially considering that I'm a super tactical droid. Quite the elaborate castle, isn't it? Dr. Doom must be pretty full of himself if he believes he needs a home of this size and complexity. Opening first chest, new weapon detected, analyzing. Analysis completed. Sovereign shotgun, uncommon rarity. Automatic fire, just the type of weapon we hear of the 7 droid army tend to use. Mission accomplished in one blast. Now, that's efficiency. So, now I need to investigate the Redline rig for some sort of evidence. Evidence for what, exactly? Is this Doctor Doom character involved in some sort of plot? I would assume that he is, considering this comes right on the heels of dealing damage at Castle Doom. Threat neutralized. Or so I thought. Engaging second threat. Training my aim on the threat's head. Fire. Second threat neutralized. Moving on. As I was saying, Dr. Doom is, for some reason, a person of interest to the SDA. I won't question orders. I just complete them to the best of my ability, even if said orders lead to a powerful earthquake like during the Imperial War. If you don't know, the Imperial War immediately preceded the Chrome War. Essentially, after the Collider was destroyed, submerging the 0 point in the lake, an explosion of flora occurred in the southwestern region of the third island, and the 0 point started rifting in some artifacts that we needed to collect. According to the scientist, each one created a shockwave, and I mean powerful shockwaves, collecting some medium rounds. Anyway, the SDA labels the season the Imperial War because the Galactic Empire was one of our obstacles, as we needed to collect what was called a Sith holocron. There was also an archaeologist, a cursed artifact collector, a barricaded rocking chair, an incredibly powerful alien, and many more odds and ends that it would likely take all day to list. However, the Chrome War following the Imperial War was when we learned the identity of what Bushranger described as big and scary in a world of darkness. Hold that thought, I'm devoting my focus to neutralizing an actual threat. Threat neutralized. Resuming former conversation, it was none other than the Herald, a flower woman with absolute control over the living metal known as Chrome. Multiple droids were corrupted and destroyed in that war, but Jester is convinced that, through some miracle, they actually survived, and will return. I'm not so sure. Jester kicked them out of the SDA and threw away the most advanced Iron Jester suit he had. There would be no way that they would know enough about the Loop Breaker project to attune the beacons as we had, unless they were secretly spying on us, which is entirely possible. But, they haven't returned yet, which is another reason I don't think they're coming back. Now crossing the bridge to leave Castle Doom. There's an SMG in my path. Ignoring it for now, but picking up the light bullets for later. On second thought, I'll go ahead and consume the shield potions, both to raise my shield to 100%, and to clear my inventory enough to pick up that SMG. 74% shield. Shield is nearing full. Shield is now full. Grabbing the SMG. Now advancing the rest of the way out of Castle Doom. Grabbing some light bullets on my way out. As I've said before, my next destination is Redline Rig. According to the Silver Ranger posted at the headquarters of the Freedom Fighters, it was ground zero for a massive explosion, the yield of which reached low nuclear ferocity. And I haven't heard General Lyudmila lie yet, so I'm inclined to believe her. In a sense, we're paying the Freedom Fighters back for their leader, Tri-Jinx, spying on us on the behalf of Neo Carnage, who we scored a massive victory against during Operation Armageddon, which he intended to end the war in his favor with. However, with Operation Armageddon ending in failure, I doubt that it's the last we'll ever see of Neo Carnage. It certainly wasn't when Spider-Man Canada and Twig Stomper removed Carnage from Marty Jester during the First War where he was our opponent, right on the heels of the IO7 War that took place. And it was during that war that we were built, especially after the injuries Marty Jester sustained. That's when mass production hit a new high. According to my database and multiple accounts from Jester himself, we are the second generation Jester engineering Vaxi battle droids, with the first being V2C1 and her army, the members of the former Confederacy of Independent Droids. The Confederacy has been mostly converted into the SDA, with the only droid still pending her third generation microchip being V2C1. This is thanks to a self-preservation feature that disallows him to access the microchip in charge of her functions. Ah, here we go. Now I can reach the redline rig faster, converting Trail Smasher into the T6 wildcard. This vehicle, which was a tank last season, has been demoted to an armored personnel carrier without any weapons to defend itself with. So if it comes under fire, I only have two options. Flee or pop my head out of the passenger side window armed with a gun and blast the opponent until one of us is eliminated. Anyway, enough about that. 1,724 meters left to arrive at the site. Therefore, I believe that I have some time to chat before I get to the site and investigate Redline Rig for evidence. If I were a human, I'd be excited to work with so many different models from 3 different companies. There was originally a 4th, but since it was discovered that Carnage took credit for the model's construction, Jester apologized to Kit once the latter was rescued, and the models were discontinued for their blatant plagiarism. If they ever got produced again, they would be under different model names, more specifically, KBV1 through KBV6. As of the discontinuation of said models, several droids were assigned new serial numbers. JEV12 became JEV8, JEV17 became JEV9, and JEV11 became JEV10. However, not all droids directly created by Carnage were reactivated, as was unfortunately the case with JEV16, who was seen as essentially identical to a typical JEV12. Maybe they'll be reactivated once they get a fresh new coat of paint and or a new voice chip. Heck, for all I know, they may already be reprogrammed, repainted, and are soon to be redeployed to the island. I sure haven't seen them on base. I'm closing in on the site, so I'll have to cut the idle chatter soon and focus on finding the evidence. In the meantime though, I suppose I can chat more about the new division of labor in the SDA. The V1 infantry droids have become our workhorses behind the scenes. Outside of being our main infantry droids in active duty, they are also tasked with the development and repairs of the rest of the droids, even the outsiders from Y Labs and Cutter Tech. Bo Lerma has volunteered for repairs, as well, despite being a Silver Ranger. And speaking of the Silver Rangers, a group of V8s were sent to be members of the Silver Rangers, only the best of which were accepted. Since Broski became one of the high-ranking members, only the best 3,554 V8s became Rangers. Many of them make up the assault team, whereas almost all of the Arctic series destroyers are part of the sniper team. This of course excludes Dora, who handles navigation and translation, and Bo Lerma, who has taken more of an interest as a combat medic. As with the V1s in their repair roles in the 7-droid army, the Arctic series destroyers also have side jobs when off duty. Lyudmila is in charge of watching over the freedom fighters, registering everything she sees and hears from them to the Cutter Tech servers. I have already found something.
Well, hey pal, I've been looking for you. Whoa, what is that?
Looks like it belonged to him. Doom.
A prototype?
An omen. And also probably a prototype.
You should take a closer look at it, Hope.
Why me?
Oh, it's part of the whole subject of a dark prophecy job description. Been there.
Anyway, there is also another Arctic series destroyer spying on Task Force Vixen, trying to learn everything they can about Task Force Vixen through bugs and scope reconnaissance. And so far, we've learned they are a special forces group for the Fox clan, divided into 3 teams: Team Vixen, Team Olympus, and Team Rebel. Another thing we've learned is that Team Olympus and Team Rebel are separated because Medusa and the gods don't get along with each other. Something about a curse that she's embraced which a god brought upon her when she tried to stand against the gods to protect mortals. Now en route to Hope's house to deliver Doom's helmet to her. It looks more like a mask to me. But whatever. I'm hoping I can make it to Hope's house by the time the storm eliminates me. But as I'm at 54% system integrity, that may not be possible, especially since the T6 just ran out of fuel. Now I have to continue the rest of my journey on foot, 386 meters to Hope's house, 43% system integrity, and a medkit. Applying the medkit now. The new medkit system is vastly improved over the original, as you start applying it faster. The only downside is that the healing is more gradual, much like the med mist. However, the pros far outweigh the cons, as even though the healing is much more gradual, you start applying far quicker. You are almost guaranteed 100 health or system integrity. 279 meters to go. Oh, there's a Trail Smasher here. Entering the Trail Smasher, converting it into a T6 wildcard again. It's almost full on battery power. I think I can see my path. I just need to execute on what I can see. And what I could see from my starting point is a path straight forward, through the water, and a ramp to the right. The first part of my execution, however, was a bit flawed, seeing as how I bounced off of the ledge ahead of me, turning me away from my planned path. However, I see what could be a better path. There's a gentle incline ahead that leads up to Hope's house in Sandy Steps. It's actually amazing that a sandstorm following the arrival of the Wasteland Warriors could do so much damage all at once. Of course, it was supposedly because of Zeus's plan of revenge that the sandstorm was even created in the first place. My navigation system is malfunctioning. This has been twice that I've gotten stuck. I'm going to have to visit V1I5 for diagnosis of my navigation system glitches. Now, let's see if I can push past further glitches and get the helmet to Hope. So, it's this way, then, making my way in this direction, and of course I managed to get the T6 stuck again, and this time, barring some time-consuming smashing, I wouldn't have been able to get the car unstuck from this road with walls. Wait, where is she? Where is Hope? No, not now. Why has this happened now? I am at 14 system integrity, and the storm is moving, but at least my 2 previous missions had been completed. If nothing else, I can mark that off of my to-do list. I'm sorry I couldn't do more.
Really, Jester? This is the first mission I get since Operation Radio Silence? Just an errand to deliver a mask to who has become our current commanding officer? Fine, I'll accept this mission, but I expect something greater in the future. I can't exactly be a super battle droid unless I have a mission where combat is involved. You built me to be a walking tank, did you not? Ugh, I'm sorry. I really should be more grateful for even being reactivated. I don't want to be deactivated again, this time permanently. But could you at least provide me a combat mission next time? If not, I'll begrudgingly accept the missions that I do get, and when I get my next combat mission, I'll happily perform at twice than my best, where possible. 300 meters from Hope's house and dropping fast. I'm hoping that after I deliver this mask to Hope that we have to distract Doom's forces, and perforate those Latverian troops that V-71 registered to our database. Making final approach to Hope's house. 74 meters to go and dropping. This is always the slowest part. Ugh, can't this fall even slightly faster? 36 meters and dropping slowly but steadily. Finally almost there. Gliding down to Hope's door. There's an enemy in the same room. I'll deal with them after my